Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon and today we're making chocolate truffles. There are so many possibilities for fillings that I could show you today, and I've decided to select just 6 fillings, and if your favourite one isn't here, just put your requests in the comments and I'll do another video later. I'll do part 2 with the most requested fillings. To start with, you're going to need 6 bowls, each with 3 tablespoons of cream. Now for the printable copy of this recipe with all the quantities, visit the blog at howtocookthat.net. There's a link in the description below this video. Get some fresh ginger and cut off the outer rough skin and slice it into thin slices and put that into your first bowl. Put some fresh mint leaves into your next bowl. Now be warned, don't add too much fresh mint, because then if you do that, instead of a beautiful fresh minty flavour, you'll get this intense inedible flavour. To the next one, add half a teaspoon of hot chopped chilli. Now this amount that I'm adding here made it taste a little bit hot and spicy once it was just the ganache, but once it was enrobed in the chocolate it wasn't very hot. So if you want a strong hit of chilli, double the amount that I added. For the next flavour, add 1/4 teaspoon of instant coffee into your cream. And then in the next bowl, add some finely chopped pistachios or nuts of your choice. The last bowl we're leaving plain for the moment, but it won't stay plain. Give them all a stir, using separate spoons of course, and then transfer them to a microwave plate and heat them until they boil. Now you can use a saucepan on the stovetop if you prefer, but you're going to need lots of separate saucepans. Give them a stir, leave them to sit for at least 15 minutes for those flavours to infuse through the cream. Then strain the ones with lumps in them, pushing on the sieve to get the maximum amount of flavour out. With the nuts, now that they're boiled, they're going to be soft, so you should be able to push them through the sieve if you like. The ginger's in large enough pieces that you should just be able to pull those out and press them on a fork. And the mint, just take it out, there's no need to squeeze that in for extra flavour. Reheat all of those so that the cream is boiling again, and then add your chocolate. You can choose to use dark milk or white chocolate. Just break it into pieces and make sure it's pushed down below the level of the cream. Now because we're using such small quantities of cream, it may not hold the heat for long enough to completely melt the chocolate. If that's the case, just microwave it in 5-second bursts, stirring after each time until there are no lumps left. Now I just wanted to show you what happens if you don't have quite enough cream. For example, if you boil your cream over in the microwave or something. When you stir in the chocolate, it will seize if you don't have enough, and it will start to look lumpy like this. Don't panic, just add more cream, a teaspoon at a time, until it becomes smooth again and looks glossy. Now for our plain ganache, you can leave it just plain, or I'm going to add in some popping sugar, which is a favourite with my kids. Okay, so our fillings are nearly ready. We have a few different options of what to do next. Firstly, the most simple way is you can just put the bowl in the fridge overnight and then use a melon baller to take scoops of the cold ganache and roll it into balls and dip it in unsweetened cocoa powder, or you can dip it in confectioner's sugar or icing sugar, and then just put those on a plate and they're ready to go. Your next option, you can use a mould. To use the mould, put your ganache into a ziploc bag and push it to one corner, twist the top and cut off the corner. You can buy all different moulds for making chocolates in all different shapes and sizes. This one that I'm using isn't even a chocolate mould, it's just a plastic container that some Easter eggs came in that I kept for this purpose. For the outside of your chocolates, you need to use chocolate that is in temper. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by chocolate that's in temper, make sure you click on the link in the description below this video to go to the chocolate tutorials playlist. That's really important because if your chocolate isn't in temper, your chocolates will be soft and melting in your hands at room temperature. Fill your moulds completely with the chocolate, leave it for a moment, and then tip it out. This leaves a thin layer of chocolate on your mould. Now you need to leave that to set firmly, and if your chocolate is tempered, that shouldn't take too long. You can work on your other chocolates while you wait. When it is firm, fill it with your ganache. You need to be able to completely encase the filling in your chocolate, so try not to overfill each mould. And then top all of them with chocolate, and using a spatula or a palette knife, level off the top and leave them to set. Once they're set, turn them out of the moulds, and there you have chocolate coffee truffles. If you're using a mould and your tempered chocolate, you'll get that nice shine on the truffles. Option number 3 doesn't need a mould. You can take a small container, line it with baking paper and pour your ganache in, label the paper and put them in the fridge to set. Now this is best left overnight for the ganache to really firm up. Once it's set, run a knife around the edge, lift the paper out, peel it off, and then using a hot sharp knife cut it into cubes or rectangles. You can use a circle cutter to cut out circles if you prefer, and then I place those in the freezer for an hour to let them go really firm. Take your cubes of ganache and using a fork, dip them into your tempered chocolate. Swipe off the excess chocolate on the edge of your container and place it on a sheet of non-stick baking paper. For presentation of these chocolates, I'll show you a few different ideas. Here for the ginger one, I've placed a square of chocolate transfer sheet on top. You just leave that to set and then peel it off, and the pattern that was on the transfer sheet that's made out of coloured cocoa butter sticks to your chocolate and it looks pretty. If your chocolate is starting to get too thick to use, just give it another 5-second burst in the microwave and stir it well. Dip your chili ganache cubes into the chocolate just like before, and while it's still soft, sprinkle one corner with flaked sea salt, and then you have chili and sea salt truffles. If you want to add some crunch, cocoa nibs are a nice addition to the top. I've added that to the pistachio one. The other option with those is to push a nut onto the top of each of your cubes. The nuts are nicer if you roast them lightly in the oven first, let them cool, put one on the top of each cube and then dip that into the chocolate. If when you put your truffles on the paper you have a trail of chocolate, just take a knife and run the knife around the base. Once it's set, they'll come off cleanly, looking nice and neat. With our popping sugar truffles, I'm running the fork over the top and down one side before they set to give a nice pattern. You just need different patterns and different presentations so that you can identify which chocolates are which. They make delicious homemade gifts or serve them on a platter after a dinner party. And if you have a favourite truffle filling that you want to know how to make, just leave it in the comments section below this video and I'll make a part 2 video with the most requested fillings. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week. Bye.